everything that I've seen to date is concerning to me because it's exculpatory. And I need to clarify this. When all of the records are produced and the dust settles and I have time to review it, I reserve the right to say, no, now I'm seeing everything. Here's what I'm seeing. Because of the piecemealing of the data, because of the missing data, because of data that I'm reviewing that is incredibly inaccurate, everything that is missing is absolutely in the benefit of the defense right now. There's other reports that I believe are missing that I can't tell you are in the benefit of Mr. Kohberger or in the benefit of the state. If I was contacted on December 1st by Moscow Police Department, there are things I would have absolutely said, you get this today, do not hesitate, and especially come December 23rd. Not because of who it's helpful for, but because those documents are the only things we're going to get that's going to be able to allow us to interpret what it really means. When we don't get those documents and we piecemeal things, it creates this narrative that is very harmful for the defense's case. As I've got more documents, I'm finding it's not harmful for the defense's case. There's a lot of misstatements that have been made. So yes, to your question, to date, it is very helpful for Mr. Kohberger. I reserve the right to change that opinion in 6 months, depending on what type of documents are released and what's out there.
Fair enough. I have another question.
I think that's important. I really do. Because based on whatever Cy Ray was able to obtain, that could be why, after he viewed the evidence, he does feel Bryan Kohberger is guilty. Now, he always felt Kohberger was guilty, just in a review of his book. It was just like one page, but it's significant. And I mean, he stated this in court. He reserves the right. And you have to respect Cy Ray for that. Honestly. And that's why I couldn't put this video through. It's like there's something missing. I can't. And the way he does carefully choose his words. Honestly, there was something that I believe he found. And obviously, no, the defense doesn't have to include it. Because defense doesn't have to say anything. It's the state that has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that whoever they're charging is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. But how he does state on that one page, I get a difficult time because justice would not be done knowing what he knows. And with even the defense not having to provide it to the jury. So the jury doesn't hear it. Like, if we don't know it, obviously, right now, I don't know what it is because it never came out. So I would have to say not guilty because I don't know what it is specifically that Cy Ray found or whoever. Now, the state may not have included it for whatever reason. I don't know. Do I think other people were involved? Yes, somebody had to be, whether they're an accessory after the fact or whatever, somebody had to clean up the crime scene. I can't believe one person did this, and I won't. I mean, and not taking any DNA with the perpetrator. And if the perpetrator is only Bryan Kohberger, no. So there's no doubt there had to be other perpetrators. Now, there's not a lot of skin cells. For real, I think they actually admitted seven skin cells. There were cells on 1.1 of the leather sheath. This really bothered me. It wasn't enough to even really test against CODIS. They had to amplify it. And as a fact, but they didn't do the same thing to 1.4. There's an unknown male somewhere out there that doesn't come back to Bryan Kohberger, but that didn't go into Othram Labs. Nothing went in except just the 1.1. And to me, that is a red flag. And I don't know why. And it should, because there were other perpetrators. And nobody should be okay with them. They should. Cyray is an expert concerning the cell phone data, with the call detail records, the way the car would travel. But there's a lot of data that he could not even be able to replicate it. But he didn't have it. Detective Mary was up to about 18%. On November 13th of 2022, from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m., they mapped 18%. That's the most critical time. I'm unable to find any measurements along, I believe it's 270, the Moscow Pullman Road. If you drove the most direct road to Pullman, Moscow, and vice versa, they received a lot of data, but the 2 to 3% data that was missing was very important. It's the location of the data. It's not the amount of data. It was that specific part. But they're missing that entire stretch. We have the neighborhood around the crime scene, but we don't have the crime scene. Now, remember what we know, that the prosecutor, Bill Thompson, said he can't put him in the house. Well, that's probably why. We have the neighborhood around the crime scene, but we don't have the crime scene. Normally, if this is a flat area with not mountains, the location of the crime scene is pretty much unique. 1122 King Road, he states, Moscow, Idaho. As it sets on a mountain, it's shielded by a mountain and other big, dense apartment buildings there. Your phone is going to behave differently inside that residence, or on the road behind the residence, or in front of the residence. I can't find any drive test data that encapsulates any part of the property. And that hearing was in 2024.